Thank you. Good afternoon, INL delegates and fellow cousins. Congratulations on a great day. Wonderful start to the convention. Happy 150th birthday to you, Iceland. This is like a giant family reunion. All of us here sharing the same interest in our Icelandic culture and heritage. My name is Greg McNeil. I'm from Winnipeg, but spend a lot of time up here in Gimli as my cottage is located just in Arness, Silver Harbor. And about 3 kilometers away from my great Icelandic grandparents' original homestead in 1894, Ingrid Trud's daughter and Jon Jonsson's daughter. So come full circle. I'm a genealogist with Icelandic Roots and a member of the leadership team. I'm joined today with 2 other members of the leadership team, Becky Byerly-Adams and Doug Hansen. And we're going to share an update on Icelandic Roots, highlight a few of the new and some unique features of our software, genealogy database, and our organization as a whole. As many of you know, Icelandic Roots is a non-profit organization with members and volunteers around the globe on genealogy of those folks that are currently living in Iceland and those that have immigrated to North America. The 20,000 or so people from 1850 through the First World War, after the wars, and even today. I'm pleased to see the INL website acknowledges the genealogy and a number of characteristics, language, literature, music, food, all come together to form our Icelandic heritage and culture that we're here to celebrate. Within the genealogy, Icelandic Roots is noted in here, and our database, and our Cousin Across Oceans project, where we try to bring together both those in Iceland and in North America. But we're more than just a database, and to share a little bit of information about our organization, non-database, we're going to call on Becky. Thanks.
Thank you. So, as Greg said, I'm Becky Byerly-Adams. I am the team leader for the outreach team. So we do have more than just a database, because the database team we have 82 volunteers from 3 different countries, actually 4 if you count us. We have one from Australia. You can see we have quite a large team. We have genealogists in Iceland, North America, all kinds of events. And I'm going to talk about, this is our member events. So we offer every other Monday, we have the people get together, we talk for an hour, we share our stories, we share traditions. Sometimes we have presenters. We have a book club we do 9 times a year. The author talks about their book. It's like a book launch. We don't say you have to read the book, you have to answer questions. Roots tips for the genealogists will come on and help us people who have questions on our database and give us some great research tips. And Icelandic Roots writing, we offer every winter a memoir. Remember, share your story, hand them down to your family, and then once a month, the whole bunch of us just kind of get together and follow and support each other. Then we have our public outreach. We have a hard-working newsletter team that every other Sunday puts out a newsletter with 4 different articles. We have, last time on Sunday, we had Pamela Hogan writing about her journey towards making the documentary film. We're going to hear from her tomorrow. We also had a guest writer from Iceland talk about the Icelandic word that translates to vacation harbor. We have another member wrote about going to Samtal and learning about a link to his grandfather's past from someone else. And our monthly feature is an interesting Icelander, because we're focusing on the arts and culture of Iceland. And then we have webinars. Last Wednesday, we just had Ryan Aker, who's going to be speaking tomorrow, and he talked about the new Iceland smallpox epidemic, and that has been recorded. It will be on our YouTube channel probably next week. We got lots of great YouTube videos for you to see. And our podcast, Snorri alum Jack Plumley is our host, and we have now 42 podcasts with over 10,000 downloads. I highly recommend you listen to him. His last one was with Julie Salverson about her new memoir. It's excellent. So, and then our new endeavor is publishing. So we have on the top 3 books written by our beloved volunteer from Iceland, Wendy Stevensdottir. And we have copies of those in the vendor table. And then we published, Suna wrote a book about the Icelandic immigration journey. And then I compiled a book of our top blog posts called Stories, Sagas, and Captivating Tales, our top blog posts for our first 10 years. So check those books out. And what I really want to focus on was something we did that was very unique. And in 2023, about 23 volunteers and some family members paid our own way to go to Iceland. And we were part of the journey. We went to 4 different ports that our ancestors immigrated from, and we did port ceremonies. They were to honor the communities that people left from, and the immigrants that left from North America and other places I know. And I'm going to read part of one of our blog posts that was written about it, because it was really, I went on this journey, it was quite amazing to be there. So the dedication ceremonies were a mixture of joy and celebrating with the living members of each community, and also an underlying soberness and recognition of the ache for those departures embedded in the heart of those who left and those who remained. That loss was felt in the living community that gathered to honor the ancestors from that era. The team leader of the Icelandic genealogist, Kathy Josephson, spent 6 months working with the immigration court communities to find a park or other suitable locations for the monuments. And she also spent part of that 6 months researching each port and the circumstances that caused the people of that area to immigrate. The words she summoned for each monument are brief, but paint a stark and powerful picture of the harsh conditions the people faced. She described the bitter winters, followed by summers that didn't arrive, the decades-long periods when districts emptied out into the departing ships, filled with both livestock and people who would never return. She also found poets from each region who lived during these migration years, and she incorporated their poems into the monuments to deepen the understanding of what it was like to live through this time of immense death. One who witnessed departure from the seashore with sadness and heartache. Another who booked passage to America and years later realized that fateful decision left them with an unending sorrow for their homeland and their friends. And yet another who saw a false home to be replaced by a better home to come. Each flag tells a profound story that played out over a century ago, along with these 4 ports. And she created a different plaque for each port. And this is the one from and I'll read it, you probably can't see it, but it says 1876 to 1914. About 2,700 immigrants bound for North America left from the largest port in East Iceland, Líðí, Ástja, and memories of ash darkening the skies. Spring 1876 was cold, but the summer fields were green. Still they left. After not all could stay in Europe. Still 700 of their homes set for farmers, children, aged peoples, workers, students, midwives, seamstresses, a goldsmith, a cobbler, a factor's son, sailors, a mason, carpenters, a printer's apprentice, postman, good workers who did not return. And a few very poor children were given a ticket sent away into an uncertain future. And so the poem selection was from Christian Biels. And it says, "Greet all at home there, greet all whom I knew, whom I loved in my youth, when no sorrow in my heart." We also have ceremonies in October, we wore Icelandic costumes, and we sang Icelandic songs. We had an embroidery in Soder. And again, this year, Icelandic Roots is going, we're going to do ceremonies in Líðí, Arabaki, and Líðí's corner. So just, our mission is to pay it forward. So you can see over the 14 years of Icelandic Roots, or no, 11 and a half years, sorry, we give away scholarships. Our largest recipient is the Snorri program. We also give money for Icelandic language program for the Icelandic Gimli camp and at the University of Iceland. And then we give away money for any cultural or heritage grants that do apply. So how do we find the money to pay it forward? One thing we do, this is always my favorite project, is we have a virtual challenge. It's our fundraiser we call History Under Our Feet. And it's a virtual platform. You can have a team, and usually a team, you can travel around Iceland, and at 30 different places, you get a virtual postcard, and on those postcards, you might get a picture of like who lived there. It tells you about the history of the area. There is a saga or some natural attraction you might like to see. So by the end, you have 30 different places you can go see in Iceland. Last year we did travel in the saga. You do not have to be Icelandic, it's open to the public. It'll be in our newsletter before long, in the next week or so, and you can sign up. And we'll try to do anything else. I get a lot of response from people that they enjoy. And we've even, last year, I just formed some teams, because not everyone can find a team, and they just had fun. And you want to take on the INLNA, always trying to do. We have teams to take them on this year. All right, so the other way to help support our mission is through membership. We have a 3-month membership, we have a 12-month membership, and that is access to the database, all of our community events. But we also founded a new one called Sankoma, and that's where you can say, I already know my genealogy, but I want to learn more. I want to be a part of a community. So when we started 11 and a half years ago, we were a few blog posts, but so much more. And I'm now going to let them talk about how they did our database. So thank you.
So thanks, Becky, and that summary of the non-database activities. But Icelandic Group did start with the database. That's still our key focus of our organization. That's what drew me to Icelandic Roots. And I don't know if I shared the same story with many of you. And I echo what Katrina said earlier from the university on rare books, is that capture that information. And that's pretty much what we're trying to do. So whether you have some little snippets of paper tucked away in the desk drawer, or in your family Bibles, or with your old photographs, maybe you got your family history captured in Gimli Saga book, or Nelson Gerard's Icelandic River Saga, that's great, but don't leave it buried in those drawers and books and tucked away. I got boxes and boxes of photos from my parents and grandparents. And it's at a point now where it's really struggling to figure out who these people are. So that's one of the features. I also used to capture my information in Ancestry.com. So it's kind of coming full circle. I originally got involved in genealogy because my wife's grandfather passed away. And they had this box of papers and photos. And each of the 3 daughters that they weren't interested, and it was inches from going into the trash bin, to which I claimed it. and said, you're gonna want this information at some point in time, and that started my journey into genealogy about 35 years ago. Well, it's coming full circle. My children, their parents, extended family, they're interested in the stories. They love hearing what I found and tell them the story, our family history, but none of them are taking it on. So my ancestry.com folder, when I no longer here, is just gonna float out there and be lost. So I took it, the opportunity now that I retired, joined Icelandic Roots, and figured this is where the longevity is going to be. This is the documentation, exactly as Katrina said. Capture that information and have it so when my kids do decide they're interested 10 years down the line, it'll all be documented and stored. It's like ancestry or Icelandic Roots is like a trust fund. It's there, it's held in trust for you when you need it. It's managed by 40 genealogists. There's currently 842,000 people in the database. We add approximately 2,500 people per month. And we add about 9,000 records per month, whether it's birth records, census records, church records, obituaries, photos, etc. About 9,000 per month. It's growing and growing faster now than ever. So I encourage you, whether you self-manage your own family history, put it in a book, try to formalize it, try to capture it, share it with the university, share it with Icelandic Roots, do something, capture your information. The photos, we scan, we upload as many photos as you want to your family. So it's like a digital photo. And we're connected. I said off the top that we are cousins. The Icelandic Roots database is one database. All 842,000 people are connected to one another. There's a little calculator you can put in two names, and it'll tell you that you're your seventh cousins, eighth cousins, how you're related. There's some people that signed up for the pre-registration. That my third cousin, I got a CEO here. Anyway, so what I'll do now is I'm going to turn it over to Doug Hansen. He's going to take you through a little bit of the database, give you a little orientation of sorts, so show the highlights, and then we'll get you guys logged into the database. All right.
Thanks, Greg. So I'm back with my other hat, which is part of the leadership team for Icelandic Roots. And I manage all of our, I'm treasurer. So I manage all of our finances in our grant program, as well as head up the lead places team, which manages all the geographic information in the database. So I'm not a genealogist, but when you research places in Iceland particularly, you really have to be a genealogist to figure out where farms are and abandoned farms especially, and figure out which people are attached to them. So we do a lot. We have, aside from my area of expertise, we have over 28,000 places in the Icelandic Roots database. Not all are in Iceland, but currently 99.8% of our geotag are latitude and longitude geographic coordinates. Me and my team have spent 8 years putting in all those. It used to be about, when I started, we were about 30% geotag, and now we're essentially 100%. So if your farm for your ancestors is in Iceland, is in the database, it has a set of coordinates. Most of them we know the exact coordinates. Some are our best estimates because they're abandoned and no longer exist. But I'll show you in a second how you can see that presented in the database. So now we're going to kind of segue into the next segment, which is to give you a little taste of the database so that when you go and log in yourself, you have a better navigation experience and more quickly get to your family information. So I'm familiar with computer, so I'm probably going to mess it up. So when you log in, you're going to go through the login screens, and I wanted on the left side, which I don't have a pointer, but I'll use my mouse here. But you can see on the left side, that's the menu, and all of the menu items are in that main menu on the left side. And that menu is going to show up on all of these. So you don't have to go back to the homepage to get to that menu. So it's gonna be kind of stationary on every page. And this is what, right now we're on Becky's, she graciously volunteered to provide an example. This is her page in the Icelandic Roots database. And as you scroll down, you're gonna see this is what we call the individual record. Every person in the database has an individual. And then as you go down, you're gonna see the basic genealogical information, name, birthplace, birth date, some things, marriage date, spouses, children, all these things as you scroll down. It's your father, marriage photo, and then if we do have media in our media collection, they will be linked to the events of which for. You can see there's her portrait, her family, husband, children, stories or other links might be here. Her book she did for us, so she's talking. And then this is what kind of what makes this unique. What's unique to Icelandic Roots that you really don't see it in other genealogical. You don't see it in ancestry, you don't see it in family search, is we have all those geographic information. So every one of these pins on this map is an event from Becky's individual page. And I'll show you a different way to see it, much more interesting, not that Becky's not interesting. But again, you're gonna see all those pins. The other ones happen to be city or towns. When we go to Iceland, they're gonna be orange primarily, which are individual places like so that's the way, and then a lot of our course sources, just the sources. We try to go to the, the fundamental primary. Yeah, sometimes we go to the Jewish, but we try to go to the, the parish record, church books, census records in the US and Canada. So that is kind of like the basic individual page, or you look at any individual in your tree. What I wanted to do is point out there's a bar across the top. You can see the blue tab says individual, and it may be a bit of an eye tracker. But as you read across this thing, it says these tabs, read them. It says individual, ancestors, descendants, relationship, and that goes to the relationship calculator that Greg was talking about. Timeline, family, and suggest. So what I want to go to the one we usually look at is the ancestors tab. And this brings up different views of Becky's family tree. And then if you go to the, just below that, there's the blue bar, there's different views. This is called the standard view. But if you go to, like, say, for example, the box view, that's going to give you, if I can scroll, a much more detailed boxes in each of those entries, which show the birthplace, death place, and other detailed information. And then there's other ones. The one you might be interested in is like the chart, where you can see all her tree in a different format. Now, this makes more sense if you different people have much larger. And you can also change the generation. So this is only 4%. Back to like 8 generations. You're going to see it gets much bigger. And difficult to show on a little tiny computer screen, but here you go. You see her. Again, like many of us, her family tree is not all Icelandic. So we only have the Icelandic part. Non-Icelandic, except for immediate spouses, who will not be in the database. So we do not have the whole tree for non-Icelandic spouses in individual family tree. So that's a key view. And then if you go back to the top, wow, yeah, I'm a mouse person, not a touchpad person, so I'm trying. I'm doing this. So bear with me. I'm going to go back to her standard view and look at her immigrating ancestors. There. So this is an individual, and of course this is the same type of page as this page. But one thing I've noticed is also unique is if for immigrating ancestors we have a immigration Iceland to the Americas event, and in those ports, ship that they immigrated on, and then in many cases we had the actual passengers that they were listed on when they transited either to the UK version, the kind of regional steamship, or cross Atlantic steamships from the UK in most cases to like Quebec or New York. And so the actual passenger lists are annotated and then linked to the individuals on the passenger list. One of our volunteers, Dave Jonason, really spent a lot of time putting all that together. And it's this big personal project over multiple years. But it's a feature we're very proud of. And I encourage you to explore those because I don't have time to go into depth. But I want to show you here, if I go to her ancestors tab, I want to show you a more map picture. So she's going to have those same views, standard view, compact box view, band chart. But look over to the far right, the bar, there's a map view. If you click on this map, and then I'm going to zoom in. I'm gonna try. We'll get on. I'm not very good with left-handed. And then change that.
Oops, oh.
Between two of us, we could probably really miss this stuff. And sisters now. Okay. Give it a second to regenerate the map. So our database, we actually link to Google's map. We use Google technology to generate the maps. We actually pay them. To use the Google map technology and the views and all this graphic layout in the map, that's all from Google. But what it does is take our information from the database and overlays it onto Google's pretty picture of Google map. So you can see now, this is going back 6 generations from that individual that we're looking at. Becky's immigrating ancestry. So this is looking at all the events for her family, entire tree going back 6 generations. So every one of these pins is an event. So you can instantly see where her family lived. It's pretty obvious in hers, where they're from North. So, and then each one of those pins has a number. If you look over at the table on the right, it tells you the generation and a number. And if you like click on the pin, there's a time I'm going to do that. You can do that. But click on that, it tells you the generation, and it tells you the people at the farm in this tree. And then if you go over to the right and go to the generation, it does it like generation 1, 2, etc. down the page. And then you go to the person. Then if you click the color pin in the right table goes to Google Maps. Please generally stay away from that. But the globe pin will take you to the place. And I'm going to go to this first one because I actually visited this farm with Becky last summer. And if I click on this, we'll go to the place. And then again, this is another thing that's unique to Icelandic Roots. If you want to see the place in Iceland, where your ancestors live, you can go right here. This is right in this. We actually went and had lunch with the farm. They were super nice and they were very, very excited to have us. And we visited here, but if I wanted to show you, it gives you the name. And if you scroll down, this is the key if you want to go to Iceland and visit these places, is where it says farm location, there's the latitude and longitude. You take that, and you can either create your own custom Google Maps, which I have a tutorial on how to do that. Or put it in your GPS, in your car, and you can drive right to the farm. So it's much more meaningful if you're just going to Iceland. Go to your ancestral. And this is the kind of thing I really got me to. Again, I was going to Iceland. And Suna says to me, she sends her ratings by the way. She goes, you need to go to your farms. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of it. He's like, how do I do that? It's like, look, the database. And from that, I learned how to find places. And then I came back and said, hey, I found these places. Can I put them in the database? And Suna goes, you can be in charge of all the places. I said, I don't know about that. It sounds like a big job. She's very convincing. So I've been doing it. And it's really, really fantastic. And so, but if you scroll down in the place entries, it shows you all the births at that farm, all the deaths at that farm, all the census records from that farm. So every event that happened at that farm, it will list them all. And so that's a unique attribute of the want to explore. The other thing is, if you go to any place in the database, there's a second place that this place. You can click on this other tab, the nearest place, and it'll show you all the other farms will be either 5 or 10 kilometers of that farm. So then you're more likely to see farms where your neighbors live, where your brothers live, or, you know, other people in your family live nearby. A lot of times they all live in the same parish or similar region. So this is a way to quickly see them without having to go through their tree. It's just another way to look at it. So that's kind of what am I forgetting?
That's good.
Okay, so that gives you a real quick introduction. We're gonna go back to the slide and show you how to log in. So those people that pre-registered, you have a unique login. And then if you didn't, you can still get in. We have a generic login. You're just not gonna have a customized button to click to get to your page, which you will as we log in. And if there are any questions, we have volunteers kind of spread out through the room. Where are our volunteers? Please raise your hand if you're Icelandic Roots volunteer. All right, awesome. So if you have questions trying to get in, raise your hand. Individual. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, so we gotta do the disclaimer. There is a very strong privacy policy within Icelandic Roots. We're giving you guys access for the weekend. As Doug said, if you pre-registered, you'll have access for the weekend. If otherwise, you'll have a generic ID and password that you would all use, and you'll have it available to you to the evening. So there is many living people documented in the database. And some of the information can be considered sensitive personal information. So the data within the database is to stay in the database. For personal enjoyment and looking at it, it's not to be copied and pasted onto your websites or into Ancestry, etc. So we do have IT folks that monitor the activity for all of our members, and we do little audits and making sure that that information doesn't get shared outside of it, out of courtesy to those people that are in the database. So if you're a member, use your membership ID and password. If you pre-registered, it will be Gimli with a capital G, 2025, no spaces, and your first name. And so you know those that are registered, you know who you are. And then the exact same for the password. So I guess I should have mentioned the website. The most direct way to get there is www.icelandancestry.com. And that screen will pop up. User ID, password, it'll work on your phone. Ideally, you have a computer or tablet, a little bit more screen real estate makes the database that much more alive and interesting, but it will work on your phone. If you did not pre-register, you could simply use capital G Gimli, no space 2025 for your ID, username, and also the password. So if you want to try logging on, Icelandic Root volunteers will help you put up your hand if you are struggling, and one of us will come over and assist you. You can explore your own family. You might have to do, if you did pre-register, you can go to my page. Oops.
Here's the backup slide.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's right there.
My page at the top of the index that Doug pointed out on the left side, and it should take you back to yourself or your relative. Otherwise, you would use the search. I would tend to enter in my grandparents, first name, last name, parent, and hit search, and you should find it. So.
Oh, you might tell them to go to advanced search.
Search. Yeah. So Renulfer, that's my grandfather. And it would come up with this page.
Or a list. Oh, similar.
If there's multiple people with the same name, it will come up with a list. You might have to narrow it on the date. All right. Anyone need assistance? If there is any questions, I can feel the questions at this point.
So she has a question. Over here? Yeah, I don't know, we have a mic, but. Someone else over here, Jody. Who else is,
Yeah.
So you're a member and if help someone else, that would be appreciated too. Doesn't have to be a volunteer. You know how to navigate it, please help us. Claire?
Okay.
Yeah, we're sending it over to Blair. Yeah, over here, right, that's just the table behind the post for me. It's raise your hand. You got a question?
Many of you are working with Icelandic Roots now to look at your families. For those of you that are not interested in that, then the date is finished. And we'll see you all back here at the award ceremony this evening. So our open at 6. We want to let you know we have a very special beer done by Interlake Brewers across the street, a special 150 beer. $10 a can. But again, that's, so feel free to stay along and tonight, with this, please ask them. Great birthday.